What's up, everyone? Christian Dude from StrengthAddicts.com. Let's talk some Arnold Classic Bodybuilding. First and foremost, I want to thank all of my great sponsors. MyOatmeal.com. Over 22 billion combinations custom built by you. Save 15% off by using discount code SA15. And remember, whether you order one bag or 50, it's only $4.95 shipping and handling in the continental United States. Next, I want to thank TokyoNutrition.com. These are two of my favorite supplements by them. The creatine stack, the nitrous stack, 2 types of arginine, 5 types of creatine. Phenomenal product. When you go to the gym, make sure to use that. Also want to thank Muscle Elements. Check out their product Amino Flow. It has 4 grams of citrulline, has over 16 grams of amino acids. Phenomenal product. Don't just take it at the halfway mark, take it throughout your whole workout. And finally, I want to thank Iron Mag Labs, hardcore bodybuilding supplements. These 2 products in particular, I take at night. I take the Asta RX, which is a non-hormonal product, phenomenal for recovery. And I also take Dream and Grow, which knocks me the F out. And remember, if you're not resting, you're not growing. So let's talk a little bit about the Arnold Classic and why it's so important this year. First and foremost, Cody Montgomery, Mr. USA, totally will make the top 10 in my book. He may even be at the top 6. I know a lot of people are like saying, how can this be? I think he's got great genetics. He's got a great physique. I don't think he ever second guesses his coach, Chris, the technician Aceto. I think given all of that, the sky's the limit for Cody. So I really, really believe he's going to crack that top 10 and be very close, if not within that top 6. As far as who do I think is going to win the show? JC, the guy with the same initials as Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. To me, JC was perfect last year, took 3rd place. Let's not say perfect. Let's say 99% perfect. The only thing that I had with him, he had a tiny gut. And again, when you guys have people that are 230, 40, 250, 55 pounds, a little bit of gut is going to come with the dinner. You know what I mean? It's expected. This year, I've been looking at the photos, and mind you, these are not stage shots yet. These are contest prep shots. The gut is gone. So to me, honestly, he's perfect. He's a great poser, got a lot of muscle, has got a great coach with him, and has a great company behind him. And I know that it's not on the scorecards, but I've spoken at length with him at Dave Lieberman's Natural Northern USA and at Brent Jones' Kentucky Muscle. And I have to say, he's got a great personality. He's great with the fans. He's real mellow. No one has anything bad to say about him. I think that's important. I think the ambassador part is important to a champion. Now, let's talk about Kai Green. Kai Green, I don't think is going to win this competition. And I know a lot of people are like, how could you possibly say that? Well, because Kai Green has not been on a stage in 12 months, more than 12 months. And if you're one of these people that think that Kai Green didn't do the Olympia because of political reasons, not only are you a buffoon, but you're totally off base. Okay, first of all, Kai Green was allowed to do the Olympia at the 11th hour by Robin Chang, and it was very conspicuous. It was very clear. It was very much like, listen, forget about what happened. Let bygones be bygones. Welcome. Come on the stage. And he didn't. And I really believe that what Ronnie Coleman was saying is really the fact. It wasn't politics. It was that Kai was too busy jet setting, doing in-houses at Barnes & Noble, and promoting his new supplement line. And, he just was not in shape in time. And if he was not in shape in time, that's a big problem. And I also want to, point out what Greg Valentino of MuscleSportMag.com said. Now, I know that when I was on Iron Debate at RX Muscle, a lot of people threw water on this. I think John Romano did too. I'm not sure if he did. Who cares about John Romano? Anyways, when I was on Iron Debate, they threw water on it because basically Greg Valentino had said that if Kai Green went into last year's Olympia and did not get at least 2nd place, that would basically be the beginning of the end of his career. And it's true. It's totally true. If Kai Green went into last year's Olympia, took 3rd, 5th, 10th, or 15th, his supplement line, his radio show, all his various ventures with Generation Iron and whatever else would have obviously taken a big hit because everyone's used to seeing this guy as basically being the perennial number 2 in contention to win the whole thing. So if he would have gone in there and took 3rd or 4th to Roden or Wolf or any of those guys, it would have looked terrible for him. Now, compound that by 5 going into the Arnold Classic where there are no top 3 Mr. Olympia contenders. Okay, yeah, Branch Warren. Branch Warren was Olympia runner-up in 2009. It's 2016. Yes, Branch Warren has won the Arnold Classic. How? I don't know. The most muscular, give them all to him. But winning the whole show, I don't know how he did it, but he did it. He's got that real people's champion kind of vibe, kind of like Dennis Wolf has as well. And, he's got like a phenomenal, he's not aesthetic because honestly, to me, Branch Warren has the aesthetics of a refrigerator, but he's a mass monster. He's grainy. He's just full of muscle, and every inch of his body has muscle, and people like that. You know what I mean? So it's sort of like that Marcus Rule factor. I get it, but Branch Warren is not in contention to win this Arnold Classic. Most bodybuilders, when they hit 40, start to go downhill. Not just bodybuilders, baseball players, football players, basketball players. Now, sure, some people are going to say age is just a number, right? Well, that is the exception. the Dexter Jacksons, the Beckles, those are the exceptions. The vast majority of people, once they hit 40, they start to go downhill. Now, Kai Greene, I don't know if Kai Greene's 40, but he's damn close to 40. So the reality of the matter is that if Kai Greene goes into this Arnold Classic and cannot pull off a win, then his career's over, basically, in my book. I agree with Greg Valentino. But Greg Valentino's talking about the Olympia. I'm talking about the Arnold. In the Olympia, he had Roden, which, aside from Phil Heath, was his chief competition. I don't care if he took 4th or 3rd, whatever year. Dennis Wolf will never be Mr. Olympia. Structurally cannot be Mr. Olympia. Very entertaining to watch, very funny at times, has a good personality, but just not going to win Mr. Olympia. It's just not going to happen, okay? So the reality of the matter is, Sean Roden will not be here, which is Kai Greene's #1 competition aside from Phil Heath. But also Dennis Wolf, who is a previous Arnold Classic champion, will not be here either. 5-time Arnold Classic champion and 1-time Mr. Olympia Dexter Jackson will not be here. Previous Arnold Classic champion Victor Martinez will not be here. So the reality of the matter is that Kai Greene may consciously say that he will leave no stone unturned, may consciously say he's going to give us 100%. But if you dig deep down into the recesses of his subconscious, there's got to be a part of him that says, there's no one here that can beat me. But yet, later in the year at the Arnold Australia, I'm facing Phil Heath. Should I burn out at this show that I could possibly win at 85% or 90%, given the fact that there's really no one here that can beat me? Or should I burn myself out, put my physique through all sorts of sacrifice to come in dialed at 100%, what I would need to beat Phil in Australia, I'm going to do it in Columbus. I just think that deep down in there, there's that voice, coupled with the fact that he hasn't done a show in over 12 months, coupled with the fact that, in all honesty, his head is probably like this big because of people like Louis Marco and others that have basically been filling him with a lot of hot air. So I just don't think he's going to do it. A lot of people are saying, like at Muscular Development, they're saying there's a big poll over there. Can JC win if Kai Greene comes off? Number one, that's offensive to JC and any other competitor. Number two, suggesting that he's going to come in off would mean that he was coming in at 100% and something went wrong in his prep, or maybe the cranberries or the asparagus he was eating in the hotel room were not as potent or whatever, and just something unforeseen happened. I'm not saying that he's going to come in off. I'm saying he's just not going to come in with the heart of 100%. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say he's going to spill over in the hotel room. I'm not going to say that maybe he took a bad natural diuretic or anything like that. I'm just going to say that I don't think he's going to come in guns blazing like he would for the Olympia. I also don't like the fact that what he did at last year's Olympia. I don't like the ambassador aspect. I don't like the fact, how he poses and the attire he uses. I don't like the fact, quite frankly, that I personally think that by him doing the Arnold Classic, he's snubbing the Mr. Olympia. Because, look, guys, the Mr. Olympia is a Super Bowl of bodybuilding, okay? You can do 10 Arnold Classics. If you don't win the Olympia, you're not #1. I don't care. It's just the reality of the matter. Now, the Arnold Classic is, without a doubt, an amazingly important show. To me, this sport is driven, A, by the Olympia, slightly below B, by the Arnold Classic. There is no C, D, E, or F. There is none. Maybe years ago you could have made an argument for the Night of Champions or the Ironman, but in all honesty, the Arnold and the Olympia are in a class all their own. But the Olympia is #1, and the Arnold is #2. The fact that, Phil Heath is agreeing to meet with Kai in the Arnold Australia, to me, is a mistake. Because if Kai were to beat Phil at the Arnold Australia, I don't think the rematch would be at the Olympia. I think the rematch would be at the Arnold Columbus or the Arnold Europe or the Arnold China, but it would not be the Olympia. And if we have the two top bodybuilders in the world battling it out at non-Olympia stages, that's going to hurt the sport of bodybuilding. So I just don't, And of course, Kai had no problem signing his Arnold Classic contract. Kai had no problem, apparently coming to the Arnold Classic. So what was the problem with the Olympia? You know what I'm saying? So to me, honestly, if we're going to create sort of this, this Olympia alternative stage, if this is Kai Greene's end game, it's bad for bodybuilding. And what's bad for bodybuilding is not good for us. So, but aside from all that, I don't think Kai Greene's going to come in 100%. Now, let's say that he did come in 100%. Let's say that he did. Aesthetically, I don't like his physique. I never have. I don't like it to be #1. I don't mind if he's going to win some pro shows. I don't even mind. Actually, I do mind if he wins the Arnold Classic. To me, the Arnold Classic and the Olympia are two peas in the same pot. But the Olympia is a little bit above it. Okay? And I keep saying that because it's important. It's important when we talk about, the pecking order of competitions, because we do not want to be confused as far as to whom is the #1 bodybuilder. If we don't have that clear cut, then, who wins the Arnold might potentially be considered to be the number one, even if he didn't win the Olympia. And that's sacrilegious and it's blasphemy in the sport of bodybuilding. Say it, don't spray it. One that came out. I'm sorry. So basically, that's my take. JC. Okay, so let's say I was at the racetrack. Now I'm not laying any action because, no one's going to take it legally, and I'm not going to bet with a bookie because that is illegal. And we know what the IRS has done to people like Ben Carson. I don't want the IRS knocking on my door, even though someone on the message boards one threatened me that they had that kind of pull, but they don't. So anyways, that's a lot of inside stuff that you don't need to worry about. That's the stuff that Kai Green would say, the minutia of it all. So if I was at the racetrack, which is a legal betting establishment, and I went to the window there, I would. Oh, let's talk about the other people in the Arnold Classic too. Let's not forget about them. Max Charles, insane physique, has really developed, has really progressed. I don't think he will be in the top 3, but maybe in the top 6. Fouad Abiad has won a couple pro shows. More power to him. Great physique. I don't think he will be in the top 3. Tony Freeman, the X-Man, phenomenal physique. I think his best days are behind him. He is resurrecting a little bit. I do believe he can definitely be in the top 10. I do believe he might be in that top 6. I think he might even be battling with Cody Montgomery, which I know a lot of people are going to be like, how could you possibly say, well, Cody Montgomery's a freak? And, Tony Freeman is just a phenomenal bodybuilder, but again, he is well over 40, and I just don't see him being in that top 3 or even in that top 6. Maybe 6th, maybe 5th, but that's about it. Johnny Jackson, world's strongest bodybuilder, of course, after Ben White in my book, because I think Ben White is the strongest, but whatever. I don't know. I don't see Johnny Jackson in the top 6. I think he'll probably be like maybe 10th or 11th. Again, no disrespect, just my opinion. Branch Warren, again, yeah, he's not a former Mr. Olympia, former Olympia runner-up, former Arnold Classic champion. I think that's really helping him a lot, that big name status or whatever. And of course, he's a fan favorite. People go nuts over him. And he look, for what he's got, for the genetics that he's got, he's been able to do a lot. But I do not see him in the top 3. The highest I see Branch Warren, honestly, is 4th. And that's really good for him. I mean, I just don't see him any higher than 4th. And Cedric, how could we forget Cedric McMillan? And, there are 2 bodybuilders right now that have the distinction of having the ironclad support of the golden era of bodybuilding, which we all know to be the late 60s in my book. A lot of people say it's the 70s or early 80s, but in my book, you got to include Dave Draper in that. So the late 60s to the early 80s, cutoff would probably be 1983, because I don't consider Lee Haney to be part of the golden era. But in any event, at least not when he won it. When he took 3rd to Samir, sure, but not when he won it. No, I'm seriously, I think Samir was the end of the golden era of bodybuilding. But nonetheless, that doesn't mean that the future eras weren't great. They just weren't the golden eras. What the hell was I talking about? Okay, so there's only 2 competitors walking around contemporary bodybuilding, contemporary physique-based sports that have the ironclad support of the golden era. One, of course, is Cedric, who Arnold basically was a cheerleader for him last year and mentioned him by name as someone that should have won or should have been very close to. Basically said he should have won the show. Cedric McMillan, who has a phenomenal physique, picture-perfect physique, who I would only compare to possibly Sean Roden. I mean, these are just perfect physiques, and perfect. And then of course Sadiq, who Frank Zane said if he were to be competing today, he would look like Sadiq. So basically, you've got Frank Zane, 3-time Mr. Olympia, behind Sadiq, and then you've got 6-time or 7-time Mr. Olympia Arnold Schwarzenegger behind Cedric. So again, and of course Sadiq's in a different division, but I'm just saying. So Cedric is a phenomenal physique, recognized, by the namesake of the whole show, the Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic, which is huge. But again, that does not really do anything for him on the scorecards. I just don't know, though. It would be an apples and oranges thing between Cedric and JC. This is, let me go back to my previous point. So if I was at the racetrack and I was going to lay some action, I'd go up to the booth, to the window. First thing I would do is I'd lay down a trifecta box. JC, Cedric, and Kai. So I'd, cover all my bases. I'd do a trifecta box. But, trifecta box, that's good. That's good to put gas in the car, buy some hot dogs or whatever, vegan hot dogs or vegetarian hot dogs, whatever, and maybe get a few beers. But what I would use to make my mortgage payment, I would have to have a trifecta straight. And my trifecta straight, I'm going to do 2 different trifecta straight bets. One is going to be trifecta straight, JC, Cedric, Kai. JC on top. And the other trifecta straight I would do would be Cedric, JC, Kai. So those are my bets. My 3 bets on the Arnold Classic. Hypothetically, if I were to lay action at a reputable legal establishment paying taxes like a racetrack, my 3 bets would be trifecta box, Kai, JC, and Cedric. And then 2 trifecta straights, JC on top, Cedric second, Kai third. Or Cedric first, JC second, Kai third. And if that happens, Kai Green's career is as good as over. Nothing against Kai, but if he takes third, he's done. And if he loses to Phil Heath in Australia, the folks at Dynamic, the 2 gentlemen that are back in Dynamic, will probably no longer take Kai Green's phone calls.